Hello everyone, welcome to this Hide and Show version 3. Today we're going to be discussing about the new updates and improvements that we have made to the software. Those are including the user interface update, the improved action and event setup update, linear behavior, the ability to switch between scenes. Additionally, the software now allows the user to store the previous setup, and this will allow you to easily access and reuse it. You reuse the previous setup without having to redo it all over again, which is really useful basically. If we take a closer look here, you can see we have this checkbox labeled UI. Whenever the user checks this box, it will reveal an interface that will make it easier for the user to interact with the software. This will allow you to quickly access and utilize the new updates and improvements that we have made to this program. The next option here is called linear behavior. With this action, whenever you check this box, this will ensure that each action, like let's say hide, cannot execute before the show action is completed, and vice versa. This option will guarantee that the program operates in the correct order, preventing any unexpected or unwanted behavior. You should only enable linear behavior if you want each action to execute after the other action was executed. In this case, meaning that hide cannot execute before the show action was executed. So that's how the linear behavior works. And the last checkbox here we have, which is labeled switch scenes. With this checkbox, whenever you check this box, it will allow the program to switch between scenes. So whenever you select a different scene in this program, you're gonna have an option to select a different scene from this drop down menu, and that will cause it to basically switch you to that scene automatically. You'd have to check this box for that to happen. Of course, right now it doesn't show you the drop box. That's because you have to click this UI interface checkbox to actually see it. So yeah. So now that we have talked about everything in this box status, if you look at the bottom of that box, you will notice that there's another box called assurance list. This box will display information about the current operation, such as whether if the program is currently performing an hide action or a show action, among other information. But if the box has labeled a message that says the list is empty right now, that means the program doesn't have any operation to run basically. So for the program to basically be working, you would have to add them to the list, and then it would display them on this. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys an example of how you could use this. I'll try to do this very quick. So here we got a configuration. Once you click the UI, once you toggle on this, it's going to show you the configuration, which is where you're going to select the scene that you're working with. In this case, I'm working with test scenes. And then after that, we have the minimal interface. The minimal interface, once you check this, it's going to give you this command prompt, which is where you could write the code if you want, basically, instead of working with the interface. But I'm going to show you guys an example of how to work with the interface first. So here we have this action setup, which is where you would work with the hide or show action. So in this case, let's say we want to hide label 1 here. I'm going to click hide, and then I'll click the drop down, and then I'll click label 1, and then here there's a time, which is how long you want it to run for, how long you want the execution to take for it to execute. In this case, let's just go for 1 second, and then you click the add button. This is random, so if you wanted this to be random, 1 is not going to be randomized, but if you give it 5 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that, then it would randomize that by clicking this checkbox. But I'm not going to do that because it's just 1 second. So I click the add button. Now once you click the add button, you will notice that it goes ahead and modifies it, prints it to the console that something was added. So if we go all the way down to the assurance list, you see that we have new action command on the assurance list, which is hide label 1 for 1 second. Every 1 second basically. it's going to be hiding itself. So as you can see right now, label 1 is not visible. If we wanted to show it, we could change the action instead of saying hide to show, and then click add. And now if we look at the list again, now we have two of them. So one of them is saying hide every 1 second, the other one says show every 1 second. Notice that nothing's happening right now. That's because you have to enable the linear behavior for that to work. So if you click this checkbox, now that will work. So as you see, every 1 second it hides itself and then it shows itself. So the reason why it works whenever when I check this linear behavior, that's because of what the commands are doing, the hide and show action are basically doing. So what's happening here in the background is that I'm saying that I want to hide label 1 every 1 second, and then I want to show label 1 every 1 second. But the thing is, when linear behavior is disabled, the hide and show are going to be executed at the same time. So this means they will be asynchronized, you know, so they'll be executing at the same time. Now once you turn on the linear behavior, it's gonna make it synchronized, meaning that hide and show will not execute at the same time. First hide will execute for 1 second, and then show will execute for 1 second, vice versa the other way around as well. It's gonna do the same thing. Show is gonna execute for 1 second, and then hide is gonna execute for 1 second. Now this is only possible when you have linear behavior turned on. If you turn it off, you would notice that it would look as if nothing's happening, but something is happening in the background. They're basically being executed at the same time. That's why you don't see the effect of hiding and show. Now here there's operation, which is where you would delete the operations that you just added. So if I wanted to delete them, just do that, and there they're gone. They don't exist anymore, and it's not running. So on the bottom here we have event setup. In the event setup is where you would listen for events. So for example, here we had a show and hide event for label 1 every 1 second. Let's go ahead and turn on linear behavior so we can see this. So we have hide and show for label 1. If we wanted to listen for the event of hide, we could click the event and then click the on hide event, and then the target, which is label 1, the handle I mean, which is label 1, and then the target, which is the target you want to affect. Let's say that we wanted to hide, let's say that we wanted to show label 2 every time label 1 is hidden, which is and the way we could do that is by listening for the on hide event. And then over here we have the action, which is what we want to do with label 2. So in this case, let's say that we want to show label 2 every time label 1 is hidden, and then click the add event. Once you do that, you would notice that there's a new object command list. There's a new data added onto the assurance list, which is called on hide label 1 label 2 show. So that means every time label 1 is hidden, label 2 will be visible. And then what we need to do here is we need to say on show label 1 label 2 hide. So this means every time label 1 is visible, label 2 will be hidden, and every time label 1 is hidden, label 2 will be visible. So as you can see right here, this is the effect that we get. You can see whenever label 1 is visible, label 2 hides itself, and then whenever label 1 is not visible, label 2 shows itself. And you could go ahead and delete those operations as well, just like that. Alright, so I've showed you guys that, and here I'm not sure if you noticed this, but there's something called all and all like. So if you click the all, what's gonna happen is that everything inside of the assurance list will be targeted by using the all command. So everything, like every assurance target that you have mentioned inside of this assurance list will be available because it's targeting all basically. But if you use the all like, then that would mean everything that matches the word like label, for example, will be targeted that is inside of the assurance list, and not the ones in the scene, but the ones that you defined or the one that you provided in the assurance list. Now the way you would provide assurance objects into the assurance list is by using the command prompt. So inside of the command prompt, you can write like you can put the names of the objects in the scene that you want to tell the program about, and then you could use the comma to like separate them, just like that. So we have one label 1, label 2, label 3, and we have another one called my text. And then if I click this execute, you would notice that it's going to take a while. There we go. All right. So now you can see we have program assurances, and inside of the program assurances we have label 1, label 2, label 3, and label 4. And if you look at the operation, you would see that they're called program assurances. You could add as many as you want. You could also just put one of them. You don't have to like use the comma. You could just do that and then click execute. That's gonna do the same thing. So now that we have this program assurances, we could tell the we could write the code inside of the command prompt, or just use the interface as well. So right here we're gonna say on label 1 show, we want everything that matches the word label to be hidden. And then let me go ahead and click that, and there we go. And then we want to say on label 1 hide, we want everything that matches label again to be, oh, not hidden, to be shown. Let me go ahead and delete that. So that was on show. Oh my god, I need to delete this one as well. Oh, not that, yeah, this one. That I was deleting the program assurances. Okay, so let's say on label 1 hide, we want to show everything that matches the word label, just like that. And then on label 1 show, we want to hide everything that matches the word label, and we click execute. There we go. So now you can see here we have those commands on hide and show, and here you can see there's this new command here called all like label. So this means it's going to target everything in the program assurance and everything that's currently visible for us, like accessible for us, like label 1, label 2, like this yellow things, this yellow words here, keywords are also going to be targeted by using the all like, because here it knows it basically stores the assurance that you give it as well, but it's also going to be targeting the ones inside of the program assurance. So just like that, you can see nothing's happening right now because there's no action event set for label 1. So let's go ahead and do that, where we're going to say label 1 hide every 1 second, and then we need to show it every 1 second. There we go. All right, now you can see every time label 1 is visible, label 2 and label 3 are hidden, and every time label 1 is hidden, label 2 and label 3 are visible. You can see here there's a label 4, but nothing's happening to it. That's because label 4 actually is called my text instead of having the name label. It's just called my text. That's why it's not being targeted basically. But the program does know about it because I told it. I basically specified the target as well inside of it. But the reason why it's not being hidden is because we're using the all like command. But if we happen to use, let me go ahead and delete the all like command and then use the all instead of all like. So if I say all here, just like that, and hide, we need to show all. So now you'll notice that everything from label 2, label 3, and label 4 are going to be hidden and shown basically. That's because we're now using the all command. That's how the all command basically works. Here you have this minimal interface, which you could use it to write the same code. So this code here, you could copy and paste it, put it there, and click execute, and it's going to do the same thing. But make sure you don't write this. This is not supposed to be written inside of the command prompt. So this is an example I'm going to show you guys. If I wanted to do the same thing that's currently happening here inside of this assurance list, I could do that with the command prompt. So let me go ahead and just delete every operation, just like that, and I'm going to go ahead and handwrite it by myself. So we do something like hide label 1 every 1 second by using the ampersand, and if you wanted to use random time, you could use the percentage sign before the timer. So like that, for example, like 5 seconds, for example, that's going to say every random 5 seconds we need to hide label 1. But in this case, I'm just going to go with 1 second. Every 1 second we need to hide label 1, and every 1 second we need to show label 1, just like that. There. So as you can see, I just wrote the same thing, and you can see that it still works the same way. And here, if we wanted to work with events, we could do on show, and then we need to say label 1. Whenever label 1 is visible, we need to go ahead and hide everything. So here we're going to say all and then hide, just like that. There, look at that. So now everything, whenever label 1 is visible, everything will be shown. And then we could do on hide label 1. We need to show everything. There. All right, now it's the same operation that we previously had before basically. It's just that this time, instead of using the interface, I use the command prompt to do the same thing. So yeah, you could use this command prompt to basically do it to basically do the same thing that the interface does. It's just that if you use the command prompt, if you use the interface, it's probably slower. I think the command prompt is way faster, but it's up to the user. And then whenever you switch between scenes, if you wanted to automatically like also switch between scenes, you could click this switch scenes button, which is gonna let you, like, whenever you go to a different scene, like let's say viewing scene, if I go to that, you would notice that it will also move me to that scene as well right there. The other thing here, if we look at it, you can see that the program source doesn't have anything. That's because this is a different scene. But if we go back to a different to the previous scene, which is called test scenes, if we go back here, you will notice that the operations that we previously had it on this scene is still stored basically. So what's happening in the background is that it actually saves the operations that it's doing basically. It saves it in the background, and then whenever you come back to that scene, it will actually still be there. But if you delete this script and then go back to the scene, you will not see it because it doesn't really save it on your computer. It just saves it on the OBS program, like scripts. You know, I don't know how it works, but yeah, it doesn't save it on the computer. It just saves it on. It's gonna be alive as long as the script does not. You don't delete it basically. But if you reload it, it will still be there. And if you delete it and you reload the thing again, you will not see it anymore because it's gonna be reset to the default settings and shit like that. So yeah, maybe there's a way to save it, but I don't really know how to do that. So maybe in the future I might update this to maybe when we move to like version 4. This is version 3, as you see. Then I might do that. I might look for a way to do that basically. Also with action setup, you could also use the all or the all like as well. So let's say you wanted to hide everything for every 1 second, you could do that. Let me go ahead and delete the operations here. So we just do so we use this all command. There's one more thing I gotta show you guys as well. Alright, so now nothing's happening, but if I use this all command and then do that, and then say we need to hide everything as well, you will notice that everything will get hidden and then shown for every 1 second. Just like that. That's because we're using all right now. You could also use the all like if you want to, but yeah. Alright, so one thing I want to show you guys is the defaults. So with command prompts, you could actually use this command called default, and then when you use that, you have 2 actions. Make sure you have the pipe every time. Whenever you're working with the command prompt, you have to, whenever after each keyword, you have to put this pipeline, which means like the next key basically. So here you have 2 options. You could use the hide action or the show action. So if I do this, click execute, you will notice that everything is currently hidden. That's because this default command works like it's a way to tell the program to like hide something or show something by default. So you could use the default command, and the way this works is that whenever the default command is under program choices or under any operation, then it will apply the default to it. But if it's above it, like up here, and then the program choices was under it, then it will not apply to those because they're under the default command. For example, I'll show you guys an example here. If I add a new label here, let me actually go ahead and delete this, and I'm just gonna put label 1 and label 3. All right, and now notice that label 1 and label 3 are under the default command and nothing's happening to them. That's because the default command has to be under it for the effect to happen, to, like, you know, affect the objects in the scene. So in this case, if I add another default command just like this and say show instead of hide, you'll notice that now it actually applies to it. Like you see, label 1 has default of show and label 3 has default of show. And if we wanted to apply hide for label 1 and label 1 and label 2, we could do, label 1 and label 4, we could do that as well. So I'm gonna say my text and label 1, what is it? Label 2, right? Yeah, my effects and label 2. And there, now you can see my text and label 2 does not have the default command added to it, That's because they have to be under the default command. Now if I add another default command like hide, for example, default, and then say hide, oh, I did something wrong. First argument, yeah, so it has to be default and then hide. There we go. So now you can see that default of my text is hide, and default of label 2 is hide, and default of label 1 is show, and default of label 3 is a show. So you could do that kind of thing basically. Like this one here doesn't really need, it's not really needed, so I could just go ahead and delete that one. But yeah, the other ones are needed because they're under the program assurances, and I mean the operations or the program assurances, whatever you call them. These ones are called program assurances, but sometimes you could have operations like command actions running. Those could also be affected by this default basically, you know, because they're above it. But if you had something like, for example here, as you can see, we have label 1 and label 3, and then there's default command under it, and then under that we have another program assurances, but under those program assurances there's a default command. So in this case everything should be affected, like label 1 and label 3 should be affected, but the reason why they're not being affected is because there's a default command right after the program assurances. There's another default command. So whenever the default command that's under a program assurances, whenever it comes across another default command, it will stop its reading. So it will not affect, it will not go bypass that basically. That's where it's going to stop from whenever it comes across another one. So it doesn't, you know, affect the other targets, because this one will affect the ones on top, and then this one will affect this one. So they cannot basically affect it. They cannot go, you know, past each other. That's what's happening here. That's why you can see default label 1 is show and default label 3 is show, but the other ones, which is my text and label 2, have the default of hide. That's because they're under, you know, they're under the default show basically. So yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for this tutorial. Hopefully it's not very long, because I really hate it whenever the tutorials are very long. But yeah, thanks for watching this, and I'll see you guys next time. You could go ahead and try this script for yourself. I'm gonna put it in the link I'm gonna put the link in the description. But yeah, thanks for watching. All right, goodbye.